going into this winter, there was always talk about, hey, look, the Mariners trading away pitchers. I mean, surely you had to be not looking over your shoulder, but checking up on how all that sort of progressed this winter, right? As to what, if the Mariners were going to make a move and how that affects you?
Yeah, I think there was really no way not to hear about it. If you're on Twitter or Instagram at all or any social media, you were hearing about it, you were learning about it, and at the end of the day, like, you don't really know how much is true, how much was really happening, and so you just kind of go about your off season, and if your phone rings, then it rings, and if not, then you just keep on working and keep going about it.
How we going, mates? Welcome to the Top Step presented by Warrior Injury Law. If you're injured, contact attorney Rob Edens at 253 Warrior. Battle tested. All right, really good show for you this week. A little later, I sit down in person with Mariners starting pitcher Emerson Hancock for an epic chat. I love talking to Emerson because he can really articulate what you go through trying to stick around in the big leagues and pitch in the big leagues. And look, he's had an interesting start to 2025, to say the least. But you know, it's a great chat. I can't wait to talk to Emerson. Before we get into this week's episode, are you new to the show? Are you new to Mariners Weekly Show? That's okay. No worries. Welcome. Now go check out all the past episodes you missed. We've got Logan Gilbert. We've got we've had some fun with the Mariners bullpen. We've got pitching coach Pete Woodworth. Plus, coming up, we've got Mariners legend Mike Cameron, reliever Troy Taylor, one of my best mates. Fellow Aussie, we just saw him in Boston. Liam Hendricks, comedian Adam Ray, and all your favorite Mariner players. So go subscribe at the Top Step TV, like the channel, and join the TTS community all season long. Okay, like I said, really excited to talk to Emerson. We had Pete Woodworth on the show. We hear all about how good this Mariners pitching staff is, right? Well, what makes them so good? Was 2024 just a one-off because they're all healthy and everyone seems to think that, you know, they had some luck involved or whatever it may be, or they just got really nasty stuff? You know what? I want to take a deep dive on this week's breakdown of Eyes on the M's, brought to you by King LASIK. Hey, mates, if you're ready for freedom from hassling with glasses and contacts, do what I did and go to King LASIK. It was the best decision I ever made. For my eyes, the procedure was easy. It was over in under 15 minutes. Start with a free Zoom consult at kinglasik.com. Okay, so the Mariners pitching is their strength, right? We all know that. But how good are they? What makes the Seattle Mariners one of the best pitching organizations in all of baseball? Not just this year, not just last year, but over multiple seasons. Yes, the best team ERA from 2023 until now. This is not a one-year thing. This is not a flash in the pan where they put it all together. So let's take a deeper dive into the phrase we always hear, control the zone. Okay, what does that really mean? All right, so like you hear that and you think, well, okay, that means strike throwing. But I'm a former pitcher. I'm like, hey, just throw strikes and you're going to be okay. No. Let's take a little deeper look. Okay, so it is apparent. This control the zone is it's not just a slogan. It's not just a hashtag. It's not just, by the way, it's not just some farm director trying to be witty and coming up with trying to spark some better command from his young pitchers. No. It's a mentality. It's a culture. And in Seattle, organizational wide, from the big leagues on down, it's the foundation of one of the most dominant and consistent pitching staffs in the game, especially when it comes to development. But let's break it down. They don't just preach strike throwing. They breed strike throwers, and not just in the rotation. I'm not talking just guys like Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and Brian Wu. I'm talking the entire staff from top to bottom. And this, like I said, this isn't a one-year thing. No, some of these numbers I'm about to dive into are a giant sample size from 23 onwards, man. That's a ridiculous consistency. So first of all, walks per nine, right? From 2023 up until now, they're number one. They don't walk people. So right away, you have a massive leg up when you can eliminate that free pass. But how do you avoid that free pass? Okay, strike percentage. Not just a couple of these guys in the rotation, the entire pitching staff. They're number one in baseball when it comes to how many strikes they throw per game. First pitch strike rate, yep, you know it, 64.9%. That's number one. And it's not just Wu, not just Kirby. Again, the entire staff. They are efficient. When you can throw strikes and get ahead in the count, you're going to throw the fewest pitches per innings in baseball. I can't tell you enough. When you're in the bullpen and your starting pitching can get the most innings per start, which they're number one in again, your bullpen can completely structure itself the right way. And by the way, too, if you're a starting pitcher and you can throw less pitches, guess what? You're going to be more healthy. You're going to take so much stress. But here's the kicker, too, right? You think of this and say, well, they must throw a ton of fastballs. No. These guys can land secondary pitches for strikes. And they do it. And look, they do it often. Strike percentage with their off-speed, non-fastballs, we're talking breaking balls, change-ups, they're second best in baseball in secondary pitches in the strike zone. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's not something where you just, go dump a curveball in the strike zone. No, it comes with confidence and a system that teaches guys, you don't need to nibble, you don't need to be perfect, you need to be in the strike zone with conviction. Okay, again, it's not a slogan, man. We've heard from guys like, if you go back and listen, Pete Woodworth talks about this, but you hear from Trent Thornton. You heard from Paul Sewell a couple years ago. All the guys they bring in, Logan Gilbert talks about it. They all say the same thing. They come in, they have these meetings, and the Mariners can really identify what part of the strike zone you can control. Okay, so yeah, secondary pitches, they're elite. Now, what about fastballs, right? Do they have elite fastballs? We're going to talk about some of the stuff in just a minute. But you have to trust your fastballs. Second best in strike percentage, again, with fastballs too. So not just secondary pitches, fastballs as well. They're really efficient, and they're second in baseball when it comes to being in the strike zone. Again, you have to have conviction. You can't just be like, you know what, I'm just going to throw my hitter over the plate and be good. No. You have to have conviction inside the strike zone. Trust me, from someone who has been belted by just hoping that I don't get belted. And you have to understand where hitter's black spot is, right? And again, I'm going back to Paul Sewell. Fastball's up and away. When you go in for a meeting and they say, look, here's your area here where you can have the most success. We want you to just live in this area. This is where you're going to get the most swings and misses in this part of the zone, right? Hitters, by the way, talking about what hitters do to these guys when they are in the strike zone, hitters are batting just 230. That's, again, you guessed it, number one since 2023. It's not just, hey, look, we picked up a couple free agents and we had a massive year. No. This is all homegrown dudes, bullpen starting rotation since 2023, batting average against 230. That is insane. Okay, now, you know about the strike throwing and all that, command, control the zone. But what happens when they get to two strikes? I'm telling you, the numbers are still insane. So, can they put hitters away? First of all, batting average with two strikes, they sit at 162. All right, so they spend so much time in two strikes. That slips back to around 12th in Major League Baseball, but you're spending a lot of time ahead in count. And by the way, speaking of, they've thrown the least amount of pitches in hitters' counts. You are going to have all kinds of success and have a huge leg up when you can do that. Number one, least amount of pitches thrown when you're talking in hitters' counts. Okay, so that's what controlling the zone really looks like. But look, it's not just about command. We know that. And they throw strikes, but what about stuff versus command? Okay, so let's talk stuff. Swing and miss rate, third best in baseball at 27%. Only the Braves are the Braves are number one at 28%. Okay, so they're third best in swing and miss. Contact rate, Mariners have given up the least amount of contact, 73%. Exit velo against, again, top 10, 88.3% only. That's ridiculous. So they're limiting hard contact. And by the way, team, if you're a Mariners fan, you got to love this one. This is the fun one. Average fastball velocity, they're number one in baseball, 94.7. And again, this is since 2023. I keep going back to that because it's a huge sample size. So you've got conviction, which creates command, and you've got the velocity. You've got the swing and miss stuff. This is a pitching factory. They don't throw, they pitch. Yes, they have good stuff. Everyone does in the big leagues. Everyone's got good stuff. But what separates the Mariners is how do they beat you? They beat you with command, and they've been doing it for a long time. See, in Seattle, pitchers don't just control the zone. They own it. Okay, that's Eyes on the Mariners. The breakdown was brought to you by King LASIK. Speaking of pitching, coming up, Emerson Hancock sits down with me one-on-one. So stick around, mates. We'll be right back.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims, like Cindy, who was T-boned by a truck.
I was stopped in a left turn lane. A big black truck slammed into my left side. I called Warrior Injury Law, and I was very pleased. They really do care about you, and they care about your situation. I knew that I could trust Rob. He cares about his clients. He's tops.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
I'm with the president, Don Riling. You do this every year. You team up, with a certain charity. This time it's for Alliance for Education. Tell us more about it.
We focus on a charity that's tied to military, first responders, or public school teachers. So this year we chose Alliance for Education. They do terrific work with the Seattle public school system. During the month of April, we donate a portion of every hot tub, swim, spa, and sauna that we sell and give it to the charity.
See life better with perfect, clear, natural vision from King LASIK.
Being a former professional athlete, I still love staying active. From paddleboarding, snowboarding, even playing with the kids, everything was such a hassle dealing with glasses and contacts. I'm so grateful to Dr. King and King LASIK. It's amazing how much better I see life.
I'm Dr. Joseph King. Let's free your eyes from the hassle of glasses and dirty contacts.
Schedule your free consult at kinglasik.com. King LASIK. See life better.
All right, welcome back to the Top Step. We are back down at the ballpark, and I am so excited to bring in to the San Juan Seltzer interview Emerson Hancock. Emerson, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Last year, you had a handful of starts, and then it was kind of on that shuttle, right, to AAA, to the big leagues. But again, you don't want to see anyone go down with an injury, but I've been there where you've been there, right? And you kind of have that label as of right now being, okay, I'm going to be the sixth starter. But that's not how you operate, right? In your head, you're not looking at that thinking, oh, look, this is my role. No way, right? So here you are, you get another chance to kick off in the month of April with that opportunity. What's that like, man? Like, talk us through that. Last year, you only had a couple of days. This year, you had a couple of weeks to prepare for it.
Right. Yeah, I think last year was you were prepared to go a completely different route, and at the last minute, you kind of got to adjust. And so this year, I feel, a lot more prepared. You feel a lot more comfortable, obviously, with the experience that I was able to get last year. And, obviously, the role that I'm in as a competitor, you want to be the best that you can be. Yeah. But also it's about understanding, what we're trying to accomplish as a team and the culture that we're trying to establish and what we want to do and win as many games. And for me, just want to be myself and just try to give us a chance to win when I go out there.
You talked about 2024 and you talked about things you learned from last year, because I felt like you had a really good month of April, and then there was a start in Milwaukee. It was kind of like it was your last start. You could kind of see the writing on the wall. You knew Brian Will was coming back, and we talk about it being in that role, and you feel like you're sort of looking over your shoulder. Did you put any extra pressure on yourself in that start or that time of year in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the last one was in Minnesota, and so like the timing of it, I think you're always thinking about it, and it's there. Yeah. It's a real thought, and you're human, and you know how things operate. And for me, I just wanted to try to go out there and do the best that I could. Right. You obviously knew probably how things were going to go, and I just wanted to be prepared for whatever route we're going to go. And when I got option, it's just what do I need to do to get improved, to get better, and get another chance.
How tough is that when you get option down?
It's
like where do you start, man? And anyone who tries to sugarcoat it and say, oh, no, it's all good, I'm just going down to get my work in and we'll wait and see. It is tough.
Yeah, it's tough. My God. And I mean, I think there's the only way to be about it is to be honest about it. It's tough. You want to be there. You want to be on the club. You want to be on the team. Yeah. And I think the quicker that you can get over it and, have a reshift of your mindset and your perspective when you get there, it helped you out a ton. And I think early on, it's like, all right, like you maybe press a little bit and it's like, all right, I want to get back as quick as I can. It's like, that's not how things work. Yeah. This is a process. This is baseball. Things can happen, and you really just have to enjoy it as it goes.
I feel like the send down is like that. It kind of goes in stages. You first have that conversation, and you drive away from the ballpark, and you feel sort of optimistic, right? Like because you've had that good chat. Hey, you'll be right back here. Let's go work on this, work on that, and then like just the day to day is so different. And it's one of these ones, but you know what? I feel like there's so much you know, it's a blessing though that AAA is that way. Like I've talked to some guys more recently about AAA, how different it is now compared to back when I was pitching. Man, it was a grind back in the day. You guys got it easy now when guys are coming up to AA, AAA. But even then, there's a blessing there in regards to it makes you just a little bit more hungrier to get back to the big leagues, right?
No doubt. I think it, you know, you start off and, you know, everything's great. You know, everything in the big leagues is just better. It's just how things operate.
Yeah.
And I think when you go down, it's just another thing of like, you know, you don't take a day for granted. You go into the park, you show up, you enjoy, you know, being with the guys, the teammates. And, you know, when I was down, there's a lot of great people there and coaches. And that's the good thing about this organization. No matter where you're at, there's people who are willing to help. And so just kind of go down there and enjoy it the best that you can, really.
Since you were drafted by the Mariners to now, do you feel like there's more transparency, more communication, especially if you are a young guy in AA, AAA coming up, you get to the big leagues? Was there ever a disconnect from day one from you, from the organization, and it's different now, or has it always been that way since you signed here?
I feel like it's always been that way.
Okay.
From the people that I've first met, they've always been honest with me, and we've had great conversations about what I need to do to get better.
Right.
And I just think as you, I don't like saying I'm older, but as you get older and mature and you go through the game a lot more, you kind of see what they were trying to tell you at a younger age. And so you're able to kind of take in that information differently.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of how you got to go about it, really.
What was something you talked about, how much you learned last year in 2024? At the end of the year, you're in the rotation, doing your thing, and you're getting that good consistency, and you know, like, you know, sort of the finish line is there, and you always want to, it's like you're always auditioning, right?
Yeah.
You always want to finish strong. I want to get to the off season in just a second. What was it by the time you got to August, September that was different about Emerson Hancock?
I think I had a better understanding of like who I was and what made me good in terms of pitching, but also in terms of, you know, the perspective of gratitude and showing up to the park and enjoying things a little bit more. I think when I went down, that was a conversation that I had. It's like, all right, like, who do I want to be as a pitcher? Who am I?
Yeah.
How can I implement this now? That way, when I go back up, you know, you just keep doing it. And I think that's what I tried to do. And like when you get up, like it just feels like you're a little bit more prepared. You know, you can handle the moment a little bit better. Things are just a little bit slower. The game's still hard. It's still, you know, razor thin margin of error in the big leagues, and you always have to stay focused and prepared. But I felt like I got a little bit better as the season went on.
Welcome back to The Top Step. This segment is brought to you by Olympic Hot Tub, a daily soak in a saltwater hot spring spa. Yes, please. A swim in an endless pool, swim spa, or a therapeutic session in a Tylo sauna are ways Olympic Hot Tub can help you feel, live, and be better. Start today at OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life. All right, let's get back down to the ballpark with Emerson Hancock.
What does Emerson Hancock look like in 2025? What's been the upgrade from 2024?
I think it's, you know, in terms of a personal perspective, I just feel like I'm being myself a little bit more. You know, I know who I am, and I know the pitcher that I want to be. And out there on the mound, I went in this offseason of, all right, what can I do to throw more strikes?
Okay.
I need to throw more strikes. I need to win more counts. On top of that, you know, we need to develop a better breaking ball. So then, you know, I tried all breaking ball shapes. You actually come away with having some good ones and some ones where you get to canvas, like, okay, like this works. And so that was really my off season, was just grinding at that and having a vision for what I wanted to do.
We hear all this about, you know, Bryce Miller, you know, developing new pitches. Pete Woodworth talked about Logan Gilbert, you know, a couple of projects he had this. Who is it in that rotation? I'll take Pete Woodworth out of it for a second and the stuff. But in the rotation, who is someone you lean on the most when you're talking about, I'm not saying nerding out about pitching, but when you're talking about specifics like that?
I think for me, I've always leaned on Logan a good bit. And I think, you know, it started, he was one of the first guys that I really got to meet whenever I first got caught up. We did the alt site in 2020. Yeah. So we spent a ton of time together there, and you establish a relationship. And like when you really...
You guys didn't come across each other in the minor leagues ever?
Well, we had just met each other in 20.
Okay.
And then
Just in 20,
I
all right.
lived with him, I think, my first spring training in 21.
Okay.
So we got to be roommates
So you guys are real close then.
We've spent some time together. And if you really get him to talk about pitching, he has a really cool mindset about how he goes about it, because he's always watching guys too.
Okay.
And he's always taking in like their shapes and what they're trying to do, and how he can obviously put it in his arsenal. But another thing about Logan, like, is he works. And like that's really, everyone knows, Logan knows that he goes about things in a different way, but he works as hard as just about anybody I've ever seen. So I've always kind of leaned on him through that.
I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you remember a specific conversation in the dugout, you and him, that just light bulb, boom, like a moment where you're like, oh man. And it doesn't have to be about, oh, hey, grip the ball like this. Something, because I love the mental side of the game more than anything. Something he said after maybe you struggled, or in between starts on the top step of the dugout, something that really resonated with you, like, oh man, that's a light bulb moment. Again, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I think with me and him, like, a lot what we talk about is, recovery and maximize recovery, because we both love to throw, and we love to throw a lot. And as a pitcher, and the amount of stress that you put on your body and the amount of innings that you're trying to throw, it's about balancing that work with, getting in the bullpen, getting your everyday throwing, but also not overdoing it. Because when you step over the line, your body needs to be ready to go.
Right.
And for us as pitchers, like, our job is to be 100% when start day rolls around, so that we can go out there and give our team the best chance to win. So we always kind of just talk about, balancing that workload between, like, not throwing 40 pitches in the bullpen, like getting our work in, being super intentional, because we know that our body needs to recover.
Who, you talked about watching guys, who do you watch currently? What pitchers right now do you watch and you look at, you're like, oh man, and not in a sense where it's like, oh, hey, I need to develop that pitch, but guys you just, like peers right now. I mean, I can get to guys you probably grew up emulating. Yeah. But guys you watch right now, you're like, just the way they go about their business, or you've heard a story, or you've met them, that you just look up to and admire. For me, it was like Roy Halladay, Andy Pettit. For you, who is that?
I've always loved watching DeGrom.
Okay.
I got to see him in person back in 2019. We went to a Braves game when I was in college, and it was just one of those deals where, like, everything you did, you watched.
Yeah.
Like his warm-up, just how he went in the bullpen, and he pitched really good, and like everything just looks the way that it's supposed to look.
Right.
The ball jumps out, it's smooth, it's, incredible stuff, great velocity, and like he's a super good athlete. So that was always someone that I really enjoyed.
And then growing up, mechanically, you always watch guys, and I always watch Emerson Hancock or Logan, Bryce. I watch them and say, okay, who did they sit and watch on TV, go in the backyard and try and rip off their mechanics? Was there anyone for you growing up?
I think the biggest thing for me when I was growing up is I thought I was going to be a hitter. Like, I thought I was going to be a position player for the longest time. And so it was like, Chipper Jones was big. Like, I wanted to play shortstop. I wanted to play infielder. Right. So it wasn't until high school where I really
Are we
knew.
talking like Raphael Foucault days?
Those
days?
Way back when. Okay. Marcus Giles.
Or you're what am I saying? You're younger than me, man. I'm throwing some names out there. Man.
It's the people that, when you turn the TV on, it was those Braves games.
Yeah,
and it was so much fun watching them, because you take your buddies in the backyard and now you're all trying to be like them.
So no pitching, basically you just kind of...
I really didn't.
Okay.
Not until high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's when I figured it's all right, like if I'm going to go to college, I'm probably going to be a pitcher, and just kind of kept going from there.
I'm with the president, Don Riling. You do this every year. You team up, with a certain charity. This time it's for Alliance for Education. Tell us more about it.
We focus on a charity that's tied to military, first responders, or public school teachers. So this year we chose Alliance for Education. They do terrific work with the Seattle public school system. During the month of April, we donate a portion of every hot tub, swim, spa, and sauna that we sell and give it to the charity.
See life better with perfect, clear, natural vision from King LASIK.
Being a former professional athlete, I still love staying active. From paddleboarding, snowboarding, even playing with the kids, everything was such a hassle dealing with glasses and contacts. I'm so grateful to Dr. King and King LASIK. It's amazing how much better I see life.
I'm Dr. Joseph King. Let's free your eyes from the hassle of glasses and dirty contacts.
Schedule your free consult at kinglasik.com. King LASIK. See life better.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims, like Bobby, who was hurt riding the bus.
The bus made a left turn, and the scooter that I was on overturned. I ended up having surgery on my back. So I knocked on the door of Warrior Injury Law, and I thought if anyone could help me with my situation, they could, and they did. They everyday people who work for everyday people. I would recommend this company over all the rest.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
All right, welcome back to the Top Step, which is presented by Warrior Injury Law. If you're injured, contact attorney Rob Iddens at 253-WARRIOR. Battle tested. All right, let's get back down to the ballpark with Emerson Hancock.
All right, Emerson, now I've grilled you with some questions here. It's time for the How to Speak Australian segment brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi Pub. You can play along at the Top Step TV and let us know your thoughts and let us know if Emerson can speak Australian. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, now again, every guest has to answer this. Usually I'll give you a multiple choice.
Okay.
But, we can do a multiple choice. All right, if I'm in Australia, starting to get a little cooler like it is today out here, and I'm going to get my jumper. What is a jumper?
A coat. Is a jumper a coat?
Close. I didn't even give you a chance to do the multiple choice. That's pretty close. It's a hoodie. You're wearing one right now. I saw that. Right. I'm wearing a hoodie. Have you ever heard that term before? No. Jumper?
Do you say it all the time here?
Jumped on that real quick. See, I made that too easy. I've had guests where I've made it tough for them, but that was too easy.
Easy.
We say jumper all the time. I haven't heard that for a long time. But I usually go back in summer, and my mum's like, "Oh, you better bring a jumper. It's kind of windy outside." I'm like, "Oh my God, I haven't heard that forever."
Love it.
That was a How to Speak Australian segment brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi. You can go to the Top Step TV and play along. Emerson, this has been a blast, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And kill it this year, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Kill it. Awesome.